where was I? My cache is all cleaned up out again. Witches exist through time and space, right? It's an evil spirit, sort of let out of a jar, possibly let out of a computer function, let out of some sort of a hologram created in the present, or in the recent past, in the distant past, if somebody had technology that they didn't let out of the bag. You know how these big companies do it now with computers. They let a little bit out at a time because each new model is a bunch more money and everybody buys it. And then they just add and add and add and add. I was explaining it to my mother today about how, well, how were we affected by these sound waves from cell phones? Back when we were all aware of these things in our head back then, and here she's admitting it. But there were no cell phones. But, well, yes, they're probably, well, the Russians had the Sputnik, and they had satellites in space. Well, those are satellites. Those create satellite waves. Just because we don't understand what it does to us enough to explain it. And, with spies and spy technology and, even another country not wanting to let the hat out of the bag any more than the other country, watching each other the way they did with the nuclear arms and whatnot, and the energy that they get from it, and the dirty energy and the clean energy and the landfill. So, that's been around for a long time. But when a witch or somebody evil, which probably certain groups of people and certain superpowers are made up of witches, let's be honest. There in 2000, didn't somebody bring a bunch of witches over to Canada? Or did I dream that? Did I read it? In any case, when they're able to affect somebody else's sexuality from where they are, why would they not possibly create degrees of sexuality and create things such as lesbianism and homosexuality in people, perhaps from younger ages, by setting them up in situations, walking them through situations which they might not tell anybody, and it's actually partly surreal because it's somebody at them or over them or around them causing it, and you can sort of hear them talking it like you can everything else. So it's almost like you're being used as, in one of these first aid demonstrations in front of a classroom, but you're not in a classroom, you're somewhere else, and they do it to you. But why would they try to make somebody, and then they speak the words out of your mouth later, oh, I must be homosexual because I'm okay with being homosexual, but that's them talking. If you really listen to the vocal inflection, it's one or two people, or one or two kinds of people, or one particular computer program that does that to people. And why would they do it? Well, one of the reasons, if you look at people who end up saying that they are, what is it, outing, and I'm not meaning to hurt anybody. I just don't believe in people having to be something just in case it's something that's being done to someone. And, it's the same thing as if they found a way to make my hair look red and suffered me or made me have bad skin and it isn't mine. It's not part of my light. It's just added to me. Or, made me like a particular type of man who completely was opposite to what God had intended for me. Or made me like one type of man and end up with another, or any number of these things. Or prefer one type of career, and that's not what I was supposed to do. It wasn't my chosen path. It wasn't the path God had laid out. But do they make people, I'll use girls because, well, I was brought up a girl, believe themselves to be homosexual, and all of the traits that they have been associated with homosexuality, with lesbianism all these years, which is a broader body, a tougher persona, a deeper voice, less interest in feminism and dressing like a lady and tininess, and is it so that they'll hold to a man? Possibly for something like singing, or some talent that they have, or some ability they have, or something that they own. Because somebody else somewhere else may get to live the same, la vida loca, la vida locale. They may get to have the same. There's always some reason. I don't know what it is. I'm only pondering because while I'm here on this earth and aware of my spirituality and aware of what other religions and groups of people have taught about spirituality, and seeing how very little anything is being imparted anymore in the availability of television programming to my child, in case she should stumble upon these musings that I have and these philosophical pensées, philosophical thinkings and meanderings, just to let her know that this information is out there, and we're welcome to think and speak. And we're not judging. We're just wondering, because these things do exist, and we're not born to it. It is created. So it is made, not born, and that is not of God. Which means we were not meant to have it. Which makes us victims. Whether what we hear over our heads says something different, or what comes out of our mouth says something different, we are crying inside, and we are crying in heaven watching this go on earth.